Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
The Forgotten Last Stand of the Greek Air Force, World War II stories.
Hello, and welcome to Aviation Deep Dive. April 1941.
Can you put it higher for
Greek
me?
pilots of the Royal
You does speak English?
Sometimes I miss something.
Hellenic Air Force had been fighting a war against the numerically and technologically superior Italians for 6 months, and German forces had just crossed over the border, also supported by the Luftwaffe. Having just 46 operational fighters at the outbreak of war, compared to 179 for the Italians, they were mostly comprised of PZL P-24s, a couple of Gloucester Gladiators, and 9 Block MB-151s. The Hellenic Air Force fought bravely. Despite being outnumbered in virtually every single engagement, they managed to score an average kill-to-loss ratio of 4-1. Nevertheless, even the loss of one fighter constituted a loss of over 2% of their fighter aircraft, and from October 1940 to April 1941, losses mounted. Even despite significant aid from the RAF, it was getting harder and harder to keep the constant access raids out of the Greek skies. On April 6th, after the Luftwaffe joined the fight, they swept from airfield to airfield in lightning raids consisting often upwards of 30 109s or Stukas, strafing the remains of both the RAF and the Hellenic Air Force on the ground, taking unsustainable losses and often having just 1 or 2 remaining aircraft in each squadron. The Greeks decided to consolidate all of their remaining fighters into one squadron, the 24th Mira, based out of Trikala Airfield. This brought together the final remnants of the Air Force, 5 Gladiators, 5 P-24s, and 2 MB-151s, for a total of 12 fighters, for a final stand of the Hellenic Air Force. Some of the pilots here were Squadron Leader Yanis Kelas, who had scored 4 aerial victories in his Gloucester Gladiator, Dorgios Mokas, who was a fairly experienced pilot in his MB-151, and Leonidas Katsarelis, who was 1 kill away from an ace in his P-24. Early morning on the 15th
That's a
of
strong
April,
name, Leonidas.
A lot of terminology. P-24, like stuff like that. I have no idea what that means.
the 12 pilots were sitting in their aircraft on high alert. Trikala Airfield was one of the best airfields the Greeks had at their disposal, including facilities and anti-air defense. Finally, a spotter on a nearby hill confirmed the worst. The alert was immediately given, and the 12 aircraft were scrambled and took off, heading upwards at full power to intercept the Stuka formation. Pulling up, the P-24s broke off to pursue the lead of the formation, whilst the MB-151s and Gladiators fell behind and
Oh, so I guess P-24s is the type of the aircraft, okay.
began opening fire. Unfortunately for the Greek pilots, they hadn't realized that the Stukas were escorted by a force of 20 more Bf-109s, which were led by Luftwaffe ace Gustav Rodel. The Stukas arrived over the airfield at 7,000 feet, just as the AA began to open up. Beginning their dive, Mokas in his 151 fell in the behind formation and opened fire with his cannons on one of the Ju-87s, shells striking the aircraft and critically damaging it. Trailing smoke, the Ju-87 plummeted downwards at 300 miles an hour, too damaged to pull up. Bombs exploding and ripping apart the air.
I wonder if this is real footage or like...
I don't think so. I think this is like, what do you call it?
Recreated?
Recreated?
Yeah, because there's no way we have real footage of all this.
Airfield's defenses. The Stukas pulled up just as the 109s arrived over the scene. Frantic dogfights forming between the Greek aircraft and the
Like, and if we did have footage, it wouldn't be in color, too.
109s over the burning airfield. In the intensity, the Greeks took their first loss. Gustav Rodel diving in and firing a volley into a P-24, piloted by Perikles Petroupas. Killed in the burst, the fighter went down whilst the anti-air desperately tried to suppress the German fighters. The air was full of tracer fire and weaving dogfights, just 11 Greek fighters against 40-odd enemies. Mokas brought his MB-151 to bear and dived in on a strafing Ju-87s, lighting up a shot and peppering one with cannon fire. A quick burst into the Stuka set it alight, the aircraft losing control and going down, scoring Mokas his second victory of the day. Simultaneously, Leonidas Gazzarellis, flying a P-24, had been seriously injured after being struck multiple times by 109s. Fading in and out of consciousness, he managed to pull back the stick to gain some altitude and bail out.
Oh.
Kilas, flying his Gladiator, was occupied in an intense dogfight low altitude over the airfield, weaving in and out of the anti-air fire and strafing Stukas. Seizing an opportunity, he managed to pull lead on one of the 109s and opened fire with his 4 machine guns. Possibly having hit the pilot, the 109 lurched and fell downwards, crashing in a spectacular explosion. Another
And I wonder if the audio recordings are also real.
I think the audio may be real.
Because, I mean, I guess AI could generate, you know, if you type in, like, oh, say this in Greek. But sounds kind of real. I don't know.
Gladiator managed to score a hit on one of the Stukas and ruptured the coolant tank, forcing the German pilot to break off and head back to the airfield. But the pure numerical advantage of the Germans was impossible to contend with. Another P-24 fell to the guns of the 109s, whilst the anti-air defenses were getting wiped out by strafing and bombing attacks. Gustav Rodel guided his 109 down to the dogfight on the airfield and lined up on Kilas, who was already himself in an intense dogfight. Lining up a perfect deflection and opening fire on Kilas's Gladiator, the Greek aviator peeled off, his Gladiator almost destroyed by the burst of cannon fire. Kilas's radio cut out whilst he fell away from the airfield, losing altitude. Assumed dead by the rest of his pilots, he had actually miraculously managed to put the stricken Gladiator down in an emergency landing and was unhurt.
Wow, that's impressive.
Mokas, meanwhile, had found
That was cool. Good
That's
for
really
him.
good
Yeah,
landing.
that was good for him.
himself in a 3 versus 1 dogfight against Rodel and 2 other 109s and was desperately maneuvering, trying to stay out of the sights of the German fighters. Yanking viciously on the flight stick, Mokas managed to score a hit on one of the Messerschmitts, but he can only hold them off for so long. Rodel dived down in the hit-and-run attacks, staying fast so he could not easily be targeted by the lower and slower MB-151. Lining up in a dive, Rodel opened fire with his 2 cannons and machine guns. A perfect shot, Rodel struck the engine of the MB-151, setting the aircraft on fire as all of the oils and fuel ignited. The MB-151 went into a near vertical dive and struck the ground, killing him instantly.
Oh.
The air defenses of the Trikala were almost silenced by this point. Just a few solitary guns ringing out in response to the German raid, which had achieved total air superiority.
Damn.
Out
This
of
is
ammunition,
scarier than on the ground. I don't like this.
Honestly, yeah, never like seen obviously, you know, I don't think it's real. I think it's AI, but still never like really seen like a
Air combat.
air combat like that. Yeah, it is way worse than on the ground. Holy shit.
the Stukas and 109s broke off and heading back north towards their airfield, whilst the 7 remaining Greek aircrafts came into land. Of the 5 aircrafts lost, 3 pilots have been killed.
Because like on the ground you get hit, you know, you can still survive. Here you get hit. I mean,
You have to-
the one guy managed to land.
Yeah, you
I
have
don't
to
know
think of
how,
landing
but
or escaping if your parachute works
if,
or it gets deployed.
if you can get deployed, yeah, but like if you
And then you're in the air, like.
yeah, it's tough. This is really tough.
Georgios Mokas would in fact be the last
And
Greek
they don't
pilot.
have too many like fighter jets on their side.
Well, that were outmanned,
Yeah.
but I
So
also
if you flip and you turn, there's like maybe 4 behind you.
I also wonder like how do you distinguish which one is yours and which one is isn't?
I don't know.
Because no, it's in the air. I don't know. I'm sure there's technology to kind of recognize it, but
to lose his life in the campaign, as the battle essentially spelled the end of the Hellenic Air
well,
Force.
not back then. I don't think there was technology back then. I'm talking nowadays.
They had not gone down without a fight, however. 2 109s and 2 Stukas had been shot down, whilst 3 more were damaged, 1 ditching on the way back. The Battle of Trikala represented the last stand of the Greeks in the skies, and showed that they would not go down without a fight. Thank you so much for watching this.
Wow, that was crazy.
Can I see the comments, please?
A Greek pilot, Mitralexis, after spending all his approach from behind an Italian Count bomber and shoot its rudder with its propeller. Wow. The bomber made a forced landing and Mitralexis landed his now damaged fighter near it and took its crew prisoner. Okay. Many Greek pilots escaped to Egypt, where they formed a 335 fighter squadron equipped with Hurricanes and fought with distinction. Our tiny Greece forced the Germans to delay Operation in Barbarossa, the invasion of USSR, which seriously delayed their plans for a quick victory against the Soviets. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.